So if we record an hour and a half worth of content, how long do you think it'll take us to record an hour and a half worth of content?
An hour and 47 minutes.
All right. Should we get this party started?
I suppose so. Fair warning, I'm going to eat some chocolate.
While you podcast?
Why not?
I mean, I'm going to bullet journal, so whatever. All right. Well, welcome to Crime Crazy, the once again weekly true crime podcast with Eryn Plime.
And Jordan Middleton.
Where we prove
that we know nothing about our legal system.
But we're still crazy for a good true crime story. Also, if I have some prison knowledge, does that count as knowing something about our legal system?
I think in America it does.
Okay, well, then I have a fact.
Ooh.
So, and I only just learned it tonight.
Well, yeah.
And so
But that's okay.
Well, yeah, obviously you didn't know this before.
Well, yeah.
But I thought I'd share it with you.
Go ahead.
Even though part of me is like, no, you shouldn't share this with the world, because what if then more people use it? It's sort of a horrible thing.
I think that they're going to find out anyways if
Well,
they end up there.
Well, yeah, but I think it's also what I was just reading about made it sound like it was a broader thing than just prison.
Oh.
It actually came from there were a couple of different places it could have come from, but I'll get to that.
Okay.
So basically, here's the background story.
Okay.
I'm talking to my prison pen pal.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever. And in the middle of our conversation, she's been moved to maximum security.
Mm-hmm.
Partly because of something that she did, although her security level didn't change. So she's not actually in trouble for it. It's just more that they had to move her from where she was, and the options were higher level security.
Yeah.
So she now lives in the prison with all the murderers in our state. And although she did point out all the female murderers, that's true. She did point out that she doesn't actually live with them because she's in the building of you guys are going home within the year, and generally speaking, most murderers don't live in that building.
Yeah.
So now that's not to say none do, because our stories always have people getting out. But
that's true.
Yeah. So anyway, middle of our phone conversation, she's like, "What? No, I won't do that." And I'm like, "What's going on?"
Yeah.
Somebody had asked her if she would 12 for them. Mm-hmm. Which is a term I had never heard.
Me neither.
Which does not really say very much about
That's
but
a good thing.
It was a term I'd never heard. And basically what they were asking her to do is they wanted to do something against the rules and against the law. And because of the way their prison is set up, they don't have a guard always on their hall. There are like several guards in their building, and they kind of rotate.
Yep.
And so the idea is that if a guard comes around, whoever is 12ing, they're the lookout, and they scream 12, and then you hide. Okay. So I had to look that up, first of all, to find out if it would be a decent enough fact to share, because it was like specific to her prison. That would be sort of lame.
Well, yeah.
But also I found two places they think it may have come from.
Yeah, that's the part I don't know, so I'm excited to hear this.
Right, because you did hear the other
I
part,
heard the
'cause
12
she was on speaker. That's just a whole other thing, because she was also explaining like what they might be doing that they didn't want to be caught, and mostly it's sex.
Yeah.
But she was on speaker, and my 5-year-old was in the room, so that was fantastic.
We're like, wait,
stop. So the two different places it could have come from are both actually related to police officers. And so it definitely originated with police officers.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so one thought is that it is a police code that they use, 1012, which means there are, quote, visitors in the area. In other words, suspects they might be looking for. And so if they're undercover, or if they're like actively looking for these people, they should play it cool and not give themselves away. So exactly the opposite of what the prisoners are using it for.
Yeah.
Like, there are suspects in the area, play it cool, rather than there are police in the area, play it cool, right?
Okay.
Another site said, or another source said, that there was a cop show in the 60s and 70s.
Oh, gosh.
And it was a drama, but it was like not a drama where everything was all scripted. It was supposed to be very real life, not documentary, but like somewhere in between documentary and drama. And that so they were using this to like show people what police were like, and that they, you know, were just regular people, and all of this kind of stuff was sort of the purpose. And that some of the people in that area had some sort of code that they used that was like 1 Adam 12 or something like that. I think the show was actually called Adam 12.
Oh.
And that was a code that they used, and so it got picked up in like pop culture.
Huh.
And so it's actually generally used by people who are either in prison, who are doing something wrong and don't want to get caught, or people who are out of prison who are usually involved in illegal crimes involving drugs. And then like a narcotics unit will show up, and that's the code that the narcs have showed up.
I'm Googling something now because I remember when I was younger, all these guys would say 12. Hold on, wait. Now I'm like losing it.
What you didn't know was that your parents were in a gang, and
I know. I mean, like at school, like kids would say this to each other. Oh, I don't know. It's a Gucci Mane song.
It is also it's in a bunch of rap songs and a bunch of other songs.
Yeah,
also.
so it must just be that.
Yeah.
I mean, not saying popular.
So apparently it's like common knowledge, except not me.
Well, because even this one, I know you read Urban Dictionary, but it says usually used in the hood. It says, oh shit, 12, run. It means cops. Oh, that's so funny. Yeah. But yeah, I just remember hearing it when I was little, and like at like middle school, and I was always like, what the fuck are they saying 12 for?
When you were little, you were like, what the fuck are they saying?
Oh, probably. But I just remember like my friends at the time, we were like, okay, 11. Like, we were just being shitty. Yeah, we didn't know. They didn't know what they were screaming either. They probably just heard their like brothers or something. You know, they heard someone say it. And
right.
They were just trying to be cool.
It just seems like such a lame code word. Like, surely if you're in a prison situation and you're breaking the rules, you would want to be a little sneakier about it so as not to get caught.
Yeah.
But she was saying they really just don't care. Like, as long as no one ends up injured.
Yeah.
You know, which, whatever.
What else are you going to yell? The hawk flies at midnight. Like,
well,
that's too much.
Hello, Officer So-and-so, really loud. Like, why? I mean, you can
they're going to be like, something's going on.
Right.
Like,
I don't know what you're talking about. I just can't hear very well today.
Oh, my God. That's
well,
so
they
funny.
know. I mean, she was saying the guards all know.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure they've caught on by now.
And for the record, if it matters, she did not agree to 12 for this person.
She did not?
She says she does not do that. She's desperate to get home. She's so close to the end, and she's like, I'm not going to do anything to screw that up. Although, well, anyway.
Yeah.
But she doesn't also want to say to anybody in prison, no, I won't do that for you, right? Because that's not a good way to survive. And so what she says instead is, oh, I'm really bad at that with my ADHD. I might just forget I'm doing it and forget to warn you.
Yeah.
So, which is a great excuse.
Yeah.
Like,
and
I would
probably
love to do
really
that.
would.
I know I would too.
I would forget to be like looking around. Like I'm like, I would be a horrible lookout because I'd be looking at the same thing for a little bit. My eyes would cross and I'd either fall asleep or be like, oh, that's boring, and look somewhere else.
Yeah. Or I'd like pull out my phone and I'd be so absorbed in like my Candy Crush-esque game that I wouldn't see anything. And then all of a sudden there'd be like, they'd, screaming, running down the street. And I'd be like, oh, oops.
12?
Well, and that's the other thing. If an authority figure walks in the hall, there's no way in hell I'm going to yell 12. First of all, I'm not likely to yell. Well, secondly, I'm certainly not likely to be like, oh yeah, by the way, I know of something going on that you should know about, and instead of telling you about it like I really want to do, I'm going to, no, not going to happen. So.
Oh my gosh.
So that was what I know.
Yes.
Everything today is like personal connections from me, because my story is also, I have a personal connection to it.
Oh, right.
So
I forgot about that.
This is like true crime, but true crime on another level. It's like true, like
the
real
truest
true crime. It is the truest. It's more true than anything else.
Truer. That's a fun word.
You're such such a dork.
I'm so tired.
But it's your turn first.
It is, and I have no connections to this crime. I just wanted to say that before I started.
When we got our mattress.
For a second, I thought you were going to argue the fact. I was like, you don't even know my story.
No, I don't know your story,
like,
but I was going to point out that you've recently done a crime that you kind of had a connection to, and that I was thinking of you the other day because of it.
Oh my God.
Because when we got our mattress, it's a purple mattress, so they mail it to you, and then they're like, if you don't like it after 100 days, you can return it, which I don't know how that process works, but considering that we could barely get it up the stairs when it was rolled up, I don't know how the hell we would get it up unless we're allowed to like cut it up, which I don't even know how you cut it up. I'm sure that's the trick. So, but I tried to sleep on it the first night. I got like, I don't know, 30 minutes of sleep. I spent half the night down here on the couch. It was just awful. And I was in tears and I was so upset. And the next morning I was like, get rid of it. Get it out of here. I don't want it. It's awful. I tweeted about it. They tweeted me right back. They're like, call us. I was like, I'm not fucking calling you. I'm so mad at you right now.
What are you going to tell me a story?
Right.
Rock me to sleep?
It's not going to work.
Come get your bed.
So I told David, I was like, we have to get rid of it. It's done. I want it out of here. I don't want it in my room.
What crime am I involved with right now?
He said, no, we can't do that. You need to try it a little bit longer. He said, we can return it for 100 nights. So I was like, if I can't sleep for 100 nights, do you know what's going to happen? Because Jordan told a story about what happens if you don't sleep.
Oh, that's funny. Okay. I'm sitting there thinking like, oh my God, what did I do?
Or what did I do that involved a mattress?
Sorry, my head hurts.
Yeah, you were saying
Ow.
that.
It's like my hair has been pulled the wrong way, but it really hasn't been.
You should tell Mike to stop yanking you around by the hair. He's not a caveman.
Ew.
Okay. We were talking about hair, but really we are now talking about
a really sad crime.
Oh, great. That's what I needed today. A really sad crime. I'm so excited.
I figured that this is a sad crime, and your crime doesn't sound too sad.
No.
And
it's a little frustrating.
My last little funny thing isn't actually a crime. It's just a really, really funny police-related story. So I feel like this really sad crime
will then get wiped away by all the rest.
Yeah, so it's kind of like watching a scary movie and then watching cartoons.
Which, by the way, I was reading that Winchester was like mediocre scary.
So we can go see it?
Well, I'll think about it.
Okay.
It took me how many months to watch Stranger Things?
Yeah, and then weren't you like, oh, this is not scary?
It was not terrible.
But don't you just fall in love with everyone?
Yes. Mostly the one little boy. Dustin. Mm-hmm. Yeah. He's so badass. He's so cute.
He's so cute. I do like him. Okay.
Oh, but that Stranger Things game, I really hate it. I'm no good at it. I can't figure it out. It's awful.
Also, it's addicting and it's always fun because it's challenging.
Yeah, I don't like it.
Well, all right, I'll help you out.
You're gonna have to play it for me.
Okay, so we're going back in time.
Of course we are.
But this episode will be released on what day? Valentine's Day? No.
The day before?
The day before
13th, a Tuesday?
Yeah. Wait. Whatever. Around then. But it's just weird because I know it's not the 15th, but that's when this happened. Was February 15th, 1998. So.
Oh, that was the year that my oldest child was born.
Yeah.
And it was the year that Eryn Hotchner from... Whatever, don't give me that look, from Criminal Minds graduated high school, which was super, super upsetting today when I found out because I graduated 2 years later and there's no way I'm as old as Eryn Hotchner. Right, right. There's no way.
Real life, him, Thomas, whatever, Gibson, he's way older.
I feel like he's older in the show. There's no way. He's head of the BAU. No, there's no way. I don't like it.
Are you ready for this?
Yes, now I'm ready.
So I literally wrote this as, at first, I don't even know, like an essay. And then I had to realize, I was like, wait, I do bullets. Let's knock
start
this off.
over.
So I was like, in 1998, two assholes by I was like, by the name sub. And then I was like, okay, hold on. I really gotta. Okay.
So but anyway, you didn't get very far in your essay before you decided not to write it that way?
Well, it was a few sentences, but you know how big I write. So it was really only like a few lines.
It was the whole book.
So our bad guys are Michael Hall. He was 18 at the time, and Robert Neville, and he was 23.
Okay.
And I literally put, they decided to be extreme assholes and kidnapped the sweet baby angel named Amy Robinson. And she was 19 at the time.
Okay, yeah. That's
So this is when I changed to bullets, and here we go. Amy did have a genetic disorder called Turner syndrome, and I didn't know what that was, so I kind of researched that and figured that out. And it's a rare chromosome condition when women only have one X chromosome, causing developmental abnormalities. Can't talk today. So symptoms can be delayed puberty, certain disabilities in learning and functioning, normal life stuff, and then short stature. So they said that she definitely was delayed mentally, and she was very trusting because of it. And so that I was like, that's already sad. So if she was 19, her brain functions were already super, like, that's just sad.
She
like,
was a child.
Just leave her alone. So with that, they took advantage of how trusting she was. And Robert and Michael saw her on her way to work one morning, and they picked her up, kind of like, we're going to give you a ride to work, like, come in the truck type of thing, and drove her 12 miles to her, out of the way to a remote area. And Neville, well, I don't want to call him Neville because it makes me think of Neville Longbottom, and he should not be associated.
Right.
So Robert, which I know those two, but like it's different.
Sorry, Rob. Actually, if she has to choose between Neville Longbottom and you, she's going with Neville.
And I'm sure we have other Robert people. I'm so sorry, but like Neville. Okay, so Robert, he was like, I don't want to say the mastermind because this was a horrible plan and he's a horrible person.
Right.
But he began shooting at Amy with a crossbow, but he kept missing.
Intentionally, or?
I could not. I literally thought that, and I was like, was he doing it to like torture her psychologically? Right. Like they deemed her murder as a torture killing. So, but he kept missing. So I was like, is he really that like shitty? And he with it, was like, was it new? Like
most dangerous gaming her, or was it like?
So that was upsetting. And then they shot her with a pellet gun.
Oh my god!
And then finally, they ended up killing her with a .22 caliber rifle.
Wow.
Yeah. But there was like a little thing about how I guess Robert and Michael either just got fired from the same grocery store she worked at, or they had worked with her at one point. If they still did, or they were just fired, they all worked at the same grocery store, and she was a bagger there. So I don't know what their positions were or what, but that's how they knew her. And that's why I think she trusted them a little bit more.
Right.
Because if you see them at work, then especially someone that age is going to consider them a friend.
Sure.
So, yeah.
And they know where you work, and they're not just some rando in the
And
car.
So they're like, we'll give you a ride. That's why I was like, okay, so were they working then? Maybe offered a ride, like, well, we're headed there too.
Right.
We could just pick you up. So once Amy didn't show up for work, her parents were called and was like, why didn't she come in? Like, is she all right? Is she sick or something?
Right.
And they were like, no, she did leave. And then that's when police were called, and the investigation kind of opened to find her. So eventually, which I cannot tell how much time has passed, but Michael Hall's stepbrother came forward and told police that Michael told him about the killing.
Oh.
And that he, told him about killing Amy in general. And I guess Michael was the one to get the weapons that were used. But it was like Robert's plan, which we'll get there in a second. But so Michael and Robert were arrested on their way. They were driving to the Mexican border. So this all took place in Texas. So they were headed to the Mexican border. And they arrested them.
To escape.
Yeah.
They didn't have the body with them, or?
No.
Okay.
So I couldn't figure out exactly where they left her body, but Robert Neville ended up which he's such a dick in all this. It makes me so mad. It says he unapologetically admitted to killing Amy, and he told police exactly where to find her body. He also said, now this is like the most sick and upsetting thing. He also said that she was just target practice. Because later on he intended to use the weapons for killing blacks.
Oh my gosh.
So he obviously was a self-proclaimed like white supremacist, and he said that Michael Hall was the same, and that was what their intended use was, that they were just practicing on her.
So they just like brought a variety of weapons to test him out and see.
That's why I was like, I didn't know if he got the crossbow and was actually practicing, but was that bad and couldn't hit her,
and then decided on a different.
Yeah, because they definitely hit her with the pellet gun, and then they killed her.
Right.
So that was insane. I was reading that. Oh, I was so mad. I was like, oh my god, who the fuck do you think you are? So anywho, Robert already had like this really bad criminal record, which included sexual conduct with children and animal cruelty, and that is always the indicator.
Yeah, yeah.
Like the animal cruelty, not the other one. But and then someone said I was reading a bunch of articles, and not all of them said exactly the same thing. So some referenced this, and some said that he was actually paroled and that he had like burglary or something like that. So I was like, but that's not necessarily a violent crime.
Oh, right. Well, wait. There's burglary and robbery. And I thought one of them involved contact with your victim.
Ooh, okay.
But I could be totally wrong. So you keep telling
because
your
we don't know
story.
anything.
I know.
But one of them
Google
did say
it.
that, and then, this one, which I wrote these down because that's definitely more of a violent thing I knew offhand. Hall this is the whole big thing. So I guess when they went to trial, they pleaded that Michael Hall.
I found the burglary thing while you're yawning.
Okay, what is it?
So larceny is just you're gonna take stuff away from somebody, but burglary generally involves breaking into a house.
Okay.
And so I don't know that necessarily counts as a violent crime, but it's certainly a more like a invasive, higher class of crime. Right. And it usually has a stiffer punishment because you broke into their home. You didn't just like steal it from their car or their shed or their, they dropped their wallet or whatever.
Okay.
I don't know. That's all I know.
That's
what
right.
Google says.
Well, back to Michael Hall. He was labeled mentally retarded, and they were trying to use that, saying that his IQ was under 70.
So he couldn't testify?
No, so he would not get the death penalty because in Texas, they don't give a shit.
Right.
So, which I kind of like totally get it, but then other times I'm like, ugh. But
yeah.
So that Roberts was weird. I don't remember. They tried getting him off saying, oh, well, don't give him the death penalty because of this. And now I wish I remembered it. But either way, it was some other lame excuse.
They didn't even try. Were they just convicted? And so that was their argument at sentencing? Or did they not even try to plead not guilty?
Well, because Robert came in and said, yeah, I did it. He gotcha. That's why I made sure I put the unapologetically admitted to it.
But then when they got to court, there was no point in saying
that was already all. So whatever his excuse was, it was so dumb. I just remember reading it and being like, okay. But as I wrote in my book, the judge didn't give a shit, all caps. I said they were both given the death penalty.
Good. Actually, I don't really love the death penalty, but still seems satisfying in story form.
I'll say I don't, but then I do in cases, and I have like this weird conflicting feeling about it all the time. Yeah. So Robert Neville died at 31. So that was in 2006. And then Michael Hall died at 31. And that's when yesterday I was like, oh, they were both 31. So I was like, is that the law? Like maybe they have to wait until they're 31? Because what are the odds that they both...
How far apart were they in age?
18 and 23 when the murder happened.
And which one was the younger one?
Michael.
And was that the one with the stupid excuse or the IQ?
IQ.
So I wonder if he just had more appeals.
I don't know, but what, like, isn't that weird? And they were both, I guess executed is the word. I don't know. In February. So it's kind of weird because it was like exact years from the death.
Oh.
You know what I mean? Like, it was just very strange. So Michael Hall actually died on the like exact 13 years later, like the exact day.
Ooh.
I know, it was very weird. So he
That's
died
kind of creepy, actually.
2011. Yes. And when the, you know, they were in there, people can like watch that happened, but they both cried. The one article I read talked a lot about what Michael said, and he said that he knows he made mistakes, but he's a changed man, and he's found God, and he
too damn bad.
It was like a bunch of things, and he was like, I know saying any of this will not bring her back, but I'm just so sorry, and like I just wish I could go back and not do it, and like going on and on and on. Well, Amy's mom and sister went to both executions, and they were like, we wanted them to see our faces before they died. Like, they were, like, the sister especially was very intense about it. And she flat out said that, that Michael, well, because this article was about Michael Hall's execution, that she said that all of his pleads and crying, and because he even made a point to say, I'm man enough to cry about it and show my emotions because I feel that bad. And she was like, it was all bullshit. Like, it was fake. Right. Like, they didn't mean that. So that was kind of intense. I don't know if I'd be able to go.
I don't think I would.
And do all that. So,
I think I'd want to know it happened. I might want to talk to someone who'd been there. I don't know what I would want to do. Someone die.
She said that she was the last face that they saw.
I mean, that is good.
Yeah, that does something, I'm sure, closure wise.
Right.
But every person's different. So hey. So that was my story about Amy's death.
Well, that was horrible.
I know. I'm so sorry. But this was like, I found a story and then I was like, this is kind of boring. And I looked up a weird topic and then I found a story that's kind of new. And then they referenced this story. So then I tried finding where Amy's body was left. And I only can believe it was somewhere landfill related, because that was my keyword I was Googling. And that's kind of what brought up and then referenced Amy's death. So I never got a straight answer of where they tried to hide her.
That's so sad.
I know. They're so dumb.
At least it's like totally closed. Like, it's over. Nothing else is ever going to happen with that case. It's just done.
That's true.
Which mine is not that way.
Oh my.
So sorry. But so that's, I would say that's like the only good thing about your story. And I guess there is some like justice, like some,
something.
They got the worst thing anyone could think.
Got
to give
what
them.
was coming to them.
Yeah. But all right. Well, all right.
That was funny.
So this story has another backstory too.
I'm excited. I'm eating chocolate while you talk. Sorry.
Okay. Because all of my stories are something I'm sort of personally related to. Mm-hmm. So this one is about my friend Mandy. Mm-hmm. So I'm telling her a story. So we have the Marco Polo app.
Yes.
Which is basically like leaving a video text kind of thing.
It's like Voxer, but with video.
Yeah, or like Snapchat, but it doesn't disappear.
Yeah.
So because you can type
on
and do
Snapchat you can delete it before you send it. That's why I said it's kind of like Voxer, because you can't delete it once you start the audio.
Gotcha.
Like it just sends.
Okay. Well, anyway, now everybody has some idea of what it is. So I'm talking to her. She lives out in like Washington State.
That's my favorite thing to do.
Is to chew a little hole in the chocolate.
Well, I didn't chew that hole in it. It's like the chocolate plug.
Oh, you pulled out the chocolate plug? What are you doing? She's eating like a what are those things called?
Lindor lint truffle.
Oh, truffle. There we go. But in the strangest way I have ever seen.
Continue.
Okay. Also, it's going to take her like the entire time I tell this story to eat that piece of chocolate. Especially if she keeps stopping me to show me the hole in her chocolate.
Okay. That was the only thing because that's okay.
Okay. I mean, I'm very particular about how I eat Reese's cups, but that's like a thing, right? They even had commercials about it.
Yep.
Okay.
Sorry.
She lives out in Washington State, so opposite side of the country from us, and she lives in. Last week, I didn't want to tell like how old her daughter was. This week, I'm just going to tell you she lives in Tacoma.
Yeah.
So there's a girl, and she doesn't actually go by Mandy, but her name's Mandy, and she lives in Tacoma. And so they were picking up their daughter. She and her husband were picking up her daughter from gymnastics. Her daughter's like an insane gymnast, like insane.
Yep.
And they were sitting in the car. They'd gotten Starbucks. They're hanging out in the car. Well, I had to talk to her since she's also my boss. I was talking to her about some work stuff, and they were thoroughly enjoying my work story because I was sort of an idiot, and it was really funny. And all of a sudden, her husband is in the background of the video that she's sending me, and he says, "Oh my God, there are like 5 helicopters out here." And she's like, "What? What's going on?" So she kept the video going so that I could be.
I've never heard more than this moment.
Oh, this is as much of the story as you've heard.
She kept telling me about the 5 helicopters, and then would just stop talking
because I knew I wanted to say it on the podcast.
I know. Okay, so now I'm excited.
So they get off for a minute, and they come back. I'm like, okay, you got to tell me, what are the helicopters for? Like, this sounds more interesting than your Starbucks and this work story. I want to know. So, because they had to be police helicopters.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
If there are 5 of them.
It's not like, look at all this weather.
Right.
It's like it's not a storm or anything.
It's like a helicopter convention in the sky. It's dark outside. So it turns out there were not 5 helicopters. There were only 3. So I had to give him no end of shit for that. But he managed to pull up right away a news website that was talking about what was going on, like why these helicopters were out there. And so the initial story that he told me is a little bit different than I have since researched it.
Yeah.
And because some of the details they released originally weren't true.
Okay.
And then when they went back and they were like, actually, this is what happened, they corrected some of the things. But I'll mention that. But they were in Fircrest, which is part of Pierce County or the other way around. I did not do enough research. I just know there were Fircrest officers and Pierce County officers there. Okay. And it was kind of interesting because they got to watch these helicopters do their thing. And one of them was like racing around, and the other 2 were kind of like slowly hovering in circles, looking around, and they knew what was going on. They managed to get home just fine. The police had already told everybody to go in the area. They should go inside and lock their doors and just hang out until, further notice. But they live far enough away, it wasn't that big of a deal. They did say that one of their friends got caught in a police barricade and wasn't able to get home for a really long time because she lived locally. And so she got trapped for a really long time. And I was like, part of me thinks that would be so cool. So yeah, part of me thinks that would be kind of neat to get trapped. And then part of me knows that would be super annoying because obviously you have places you want to be and it's not like you could see anything anyway.
Imagine if you were coming home with your kids. And then you're like, okay, it's bedtime. I'm just about to make it.
Yeah.
They're like, you can't go home.
Yeah. You're trapped right here. Yeah. No, I get it.
I just cry.
But because I know it had to do with a crime and I'm just sort of fascinated by all that, I'm like, but I would sort of be involved.
If you were alone, I feel like it was different. But if you had your kids, I feel like you'd be like, okay, shit.
If I was alone, I'd be terrified.
Really?
If I had my kids, I'd be more terrified. Maybe if I could be with like a friend.
Oh, I would totally be there alone and been like, yes. I've been like, oh my God, cops, like, help me. Where do I go? How do I help?
Yeah, no, because I feel
I'll be your social media correspondent.
Right.
Hire me.
I'm going to be like live tweeting this whole event. You may as well just put me on your payroll.
I'll stalk everyone on Facebook in the area that's currently been tagged and checked in to see where they are.
Right.
It's like all of a sudden some post comes up, LOL, some guy's hiding in my basement.
Right.
He's on 24th Street.
Right.
12.
He's in a cheap motel
12,
with a hostage. Right.
They'd be like, that's not what that means for us. Right. Oh, I don't know what I would do. I'd probably just like, I'm just going to listen to a podcast.
Right.
See you later.
Like, is there a place to pee around here? Because if we're going to be here for any amount of time, I should tinkle. Anyway, so here is what my research has given me, but I'll also, where it differs from the story that we were getting at the time, I will let you know. So what happened was that somewhere around 4:30 in the afternoon, although one report I read said 5:30. So even though this happened on the 2nd, which was like a week ago, already nobody's really sure what time it happened.
Okay.
So around 4:30, there was a 911 call from a pretty decent neighborhood in Fircrest, that there was a suspicious truck driving really slowly through their neighborhood. And the reason that this was significant, I mean, it's significant anyway, because if there's a suspicious truck, like, you hope the police are going to go check that out.
Yeah.
But it was particularly significant because in the area there had been a lot of, not necessarily home invasions, but like property invasions, like people coming onto the property and like going through a shed or going through a car and stealing stuff. And it's an area without a whole lot of crime, so that was unusual. And they also had a lot of what they were calling prowling, so like cars driving really slow through the neighborhood, maybe, you know, checking out the houses, seeing who's home, all that kind of stuff. So police responded pretty quickly, and they found the vehicle right away. So the vehicle was a big white truck, which at the time, talking to my friend, this was kind of funny because it was like O.J. Simpson all over again kind of thing. But it was not a Bronco. And so the officer tried to pull over this truck. It was a Fircrest police officer. Original reports said the guy in the truck fired shots at the officer. So when Ben was reading the story off his phone as all this was going on, he's like, they shot at a cop, blah, blah, blah.
Oh my goodness.
It turns out that that was not accurate.
Oh.
What did happen is the officer tried to pull him over. He spun around and rammed the police car before the officer got out with his truck.
Holy crap.
And then took off. The police officer fired one shot at the truck, but he didn't know whether he had hit the truck, whether he'd hit the suspect, whether he missed altogether. Like, that wasn't clear. It was getting dark at this time, and so he did fire the one round. About 5-ish blocks later, so the suspect takes off, and of course, I guess, they're calling for backup, whatever. I don't think that officer pursued him anymore after firing the shot. I think that whether it was because the car was damaged or just like the, getting back in the car and chasing whatever. But the guy did drive about 5 blocks, so they sort of lost him, but they found the truck abandoned.
Oh.
And so the suspect was on foot. So at this point, the helicopters are out and they're looking for him. The police are out and they're looking for him. They are hoping that he might be injured, either from the bullet hitting him, if it did hit him, or from just the ramming of the other vehicle. Like, it did some damage. The officer was not injured. I'm sure he had to go to the hospital and get checked out, maybe had like whiplash or something like that. But he was not seriously injured. It wasn't all that bad. They put up roadblocks. They brought out K9 units.
Yes.
They stopped cars. One person in an interview in one of the articles I was reading said that they had stopped her. I don't know if she was at a checkpoint or they pulled her over, but they stopped and they made him open the trunk and looked in the trunk to see if anyone was hiding in there. Police officers at the time, went on the news and they were like, it's kind of chilly and he's just wearing jeans and a t-shirt. So if you see someone in jeans and a t-shirt, this would be a good time to give us a call. Unfortunately, the dude was a white male in his 20s in a t-shirt and jeans. So kind of vague on the description there, and also kind of everyone in that area, So, or, some significant portion of the population. I don't actually have any idea what the makeup of that area is, but very vague. So they did get to look through the truck. The upside of him getting out of the vehicle and going on foot. The downside was they lost him. So that's the end of the story, is they have not found him.
Really?
They have no idea who he is. The upside is they did get to look through the truck, so they got to collect some evidence. What they found inside the truck, it had plates that were switched out. So when they looked at like the VIN, they compared it to what the plate should be, and they didn't match. And they found stolen items, burglary kits, which I assume they said it was probably, they thought he was like driving around and looking at houses and then like breaking into people's sheds. So maybe bolt cutters and bags and that kind of thing would be a burglary kit. Stolen mail. And so they did conclude that this was at least one of the people who had been robbing houses in the area, but unfortunately that was about all the evidence they had. They did look into hospitals over the next couple days to see if anybody checked in with wounds that might be consistent or like injuries. Nothing. So that didn't pan out. A couple people did call the police and report like they had seen, so-and-so running through the bushes, so-and-so running through my yard. But they weren't able to catch him. They weren't able to get there in a good enough time, or else it may not have even been the suspect, right? It could have just been like a neighbor kid cutting through the yard or whatever else. So unfortunately, totally unsolved, but still... kind of fascinating that like I feel like I was there for it.
That's how I am when I watch Live PD.
Yeah,
because I really feel part of it, and something's very similar happened like that.
Yeah,
like the guy actually hit a police officer, or tried to hit the police officer himself because he was out of the vehicle. And he jumped and he hit one of their cruisers and took off, whatever. And they said that most people who go around and steal out of people's cars, whatever, they'll steal a car first, switch plates and stuff, steal plates and do all that. So it'll be a stolen car, stolen plates, and then they'll go around and steal and break in and do whatever.
And this vehicle was stolen too. I don't know if I said that. Like not only were the plates switched, but the truck was also stolen.
No, you didn't say that. Okay, yeah. So then that makes total sense. And I was like, well, that makes sense. But damn, that's so
It's a lot of preparation.
But I've been watching a lot of American Crime Story, the assassination of Gianni Versace.
Yeah, I want to watch that.
It's crazy because that's what he does. The bad guy, he just switches cars, steals a car, changes a plate. Yep. Like he literally goes into Walmart, comes out with a screwdriver, steals someone's plates, and just puts it on his truck and goes. Yeah. And I was like, oh my God.
I mean, it does make sense because if you're chasing somebody and you don't know who they are, but they're driving their own car, it's very easy to identify them. Like that's the point of a license plate. Yeah. But if you just switch plates, it makes it that much harder.
And since he was going cross state, like he was going over a lot of states, he would always steal a state plate. Right. So then you blend in more.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Like, this mofo. Yeah. I hope they find him.
I know, I was so disappointed they hadn't, but at this point I don't know how they would, because it's not like this is a major murder investigation, or, he hasn't done anything so horrifically bad that somebody with a lot of good forensic equipment
He'll
is going to be
probably steal again and get caught.
He probably will. But even tying him to that, unless he's left like tons of prints somewhere, which he probably has.
Yeah, if he was driving the steering wheel, I'm sure there's prints all over the vehicle.
And if it was just in a t-shirt, he's probably not wearing gloves. Yeah. Which I guess means that either it takes much longer to do prints if you're just like a county cop and it's a minor robbery case, than if it's like a murder investigation on TV. Wow. So it could be that they haven't, or that he's never been fingerprinted for anything. Which, by the way, if I ever do anything and they like catch my prints at the scene, I'm dead. I've been fingerprinted so many times for somebody who's never been arrested for anything.
I don't know if I have.
Have you never been fingerprinted?
Maybe when I was really little.
For what?
I think it was like it was like the safety book, so
like an identification.
Yeah, so then my mom, it was like, I don't know, it was like something.
Now they just take DNA in the hospital.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, we have Tobin's DNA in our closet.
Ew.
So if he should ever go missing, we can just pull it. It's in a little foil packet. We just would give it in case there wasn't enough of a identifiable body, I guess. And it's really morbid, but
yeah. I just don't like how he said we have his DNA in my closet.
I mean, I assume it's just there's a lot of blood involved with being a newborn baby. So
ew, it's so gross. I always think like ripping my hair out and like leaving it somewhere. You have to rip it out because you have to get the follicle part.
Right.
But that was like that thing. Like I don't know if you saw the post about like this little girl wanted to cut her hair and donate it, but she was scared because what if the guy or girl who gets the wig goes and commits a crime and leaves the hair? And everyone was like, they got me thinking. And I was the only one that was like, well, no, it wouldn't. It wouldn't matter. No, they would never know it was your hair.
All they could tell is like if the little girl had been on drugs at some point. Like that's pretty much all you can test for at that point. Race. That's about it.
Yeah. Okay, sorry. I'm trying to get my next story up.
I'm really excited about your next story because it's really not like
it actually happened on the 6th. So
like a couple days ago, 6th.
Yeah.
You found one more recent than my story that happened last week.
This isn't a crime. It's just funny because the police were called. Are you ready for this?
I'm trying to figure out under what circumstances the police would be called that it wasn't a crime. Did somebody think it was a crime?
Someone thought it was an emergency.
So ready.
Okay. I'm literally just reading this article. A Scottish farmer. Perfect start. Like, I'm already hooked. Frantically called the cops to report a tiger in his cow shed. So he's a farmer, like a cattle farmer. Yeah. And he thought there was a tiger in his shed. Okay. And he was scared.
Yes.
Well, and okay, so
to my knowledge, tigers are not native.
So, exactly. So, Bruce Grubb was his name, 24, was throwing a housewarming party when he spotted the bizarre sight and called the police, fearing for his pregnant cows were about to be devoured.
Yeah.
Which, if that's your livelihood and it's a fucking tiger.
Yeah, it's dangerous. And the tiger, who is not native to that area,
should not be
there.
Yep.
I can't wait to hear what it is.
It says, now I feel a bit silly for calling the police, but I thought it was a real emergency because they had to deem it if it was a joke or not. So, I had absolutely no doubt, but I got the hell scared out of me.
Okay.
So the frightened farmer said to the first officer that responded to the scene, and the officer refused to get out of the squad car. Right. I was like, that'd be me. I roll down the window a crack and be like, no, I'm good. Right. I just had to come here for my job. I have no intention of helping you.
Right. Why did they show up? Surely there was somebody more qualified than a police officer to send.
Right? So Northeast Police, I like the way that sounded. Even checked the local.
You were just telling me you couldn't stand Paw Patrol when they rhyme.
I know. But this kind of just flowed. There's a difference.
All right.
They checked the local wildlife park to see if they had an escaped tiger. Like, trying to make sure, like, where the fuck would this come from?
Before they checked the barn?
Oh, no. They were staring at it. Oh. So after they engaged in a 45-minute standoff
with the
tiger, who just seemed so unenthusiastic and just laid there, they discovered it was a giant plush toy.
Oh my God.
In the middle of the cow shed. So there's a picture, and I was like, They sat there for 45 minutes. Surrounded the place, like guns on it, lights on it, and they thought it was real this whole time.
And it just wasn't moving.
They called zoos and shit, and they're probably like, No.
Let me just double check. I'm fairly certain the answer is no, but let me just confirm.
I think we only have 2, so let me just like, so the cops said that they were determined, they were determined it was a false call, but after everything, they realized it was genuine good intent, that he was actually scared.
Well, I mean, I feel like if the police officer stared at it for 45 minutes, then believing
45-minute standoff.
Yeah.
Like, the one guy didn't want to get out of the car. So it said, they even asked an embarrassed grub if they could keep the stuffed tiger as a mascot. And it said, it's unclear how the stuffed toy got in the shed.
Oh my gosh. Well, was he new to the house?
It was a housewarming.
So he could have already been there and he didn't notice? Or did somebody I wonder if his friends were playing a prank on him, or like where did the tiger
if
come
it was
from?
a housewarming party and then the cops all came, I feel like one of the friends would have been like, whoa, it's just a joke. Like, it's just like if they did it.
Yeah.
So that's why he was like, it was unsure where it came from.
Oh
but,
my gosh.
I mean, I know. Like,
How did the cows feel about it?
Well, I don't think they were in the shed, the cow shed or whatever you want to call it.
I would have called it a barn.
Well, that's what they kept talking about it. Stuffed tiger standoff. Wow, that came up way too easily. I
don't know. Your phone is listening to you and predicting the advertisements you might want to see.
So this was one of the pictures and all the spotlights that were on it, like all the headlights and stuff.
Okay. Wait, it's way too small. I can't see.
Oh, yeah. Hold on. Sorry. It's a really blurry picture. Hold on.
I forgot to post your picture from last week when I uploaded the episode this week. We should do that.
Okay. Sorry. Hold on. I was trying to find a better view of it. Because,
I have my phone right here.
Yeah. See, they're all really bad pictures because everyone probably thought it was real and they were scared.
It does look really real.
Yeah.
And it's facing away from them.
Yeah. So.
Which helps a lot.
Oh, yeah. But I would have been like, I don't know. So then they finally got up close to it and.
Seriously, Google stuffed tea.
And
that's
it came
all
right up.
It takes.
Yep.
It's like stuffed tiger standoff, stuffed turkey.
Someone stuffed turkey. Someone tweeted 45 minutes. Like, it took 45 minutes for someone to say,
So looking at this picture, if I saw that, it is really realistic.
Well, I think that's why it took 45 minutes.
Like, the markings on it are really realistic. It's not overly plush.
Well, it was dark. They only had the weird lights on it. So,
right.
I mean.
Its tail is not curled like a stuffed animal.
I think that was easily. I don't know. I just think it's so funny that they kept it as a mascot.
That's something. That's amazing. Wow.
Yep. So that's why I was like, I have to share this, but it's not actually a crime, but it's really funny, and the police were involved.
Right, for a long time.
Yeah. I didn't yawn first that time.
No, it was me. Armed police, it says.
So yeah, that was my
A 45-minute police standoff with a tiger on a rural farm ended after the cops realized they were staring down a vicious, wild, stuffed animal.
That's so funny.
Oh, man. That's so excellent. That was way better than your first story.
That's why I told you the last one would be good.
Right. That was super, super cute.
Yeah. So I was like, you know what? We don't always need a crime to end this. Sometimes we need something a little funny.
Okay.
Let's wrap this up before we yawn anymore.
Right, or fall asleep right here on the couch. All right, so I'm trying to think if we have any sort of housekeeping business that we really need to do, and I don't think we do, although I would like to do sort of a reminder of where we can be found online.
Oh, yeah.
Now that we are back full time.
Mm-hmm.
So you can definitely tweet at us or follow us on Instagram at CrimeCrazyPod.
Yes.
You can.
No one ever emails us.
Sometimes people email us. Mostly other podcasts.
But that's okay. But that's like a podcast thing to do.
It really
But
is.
I really like when people join the Facebook group or page.
Yes.
Because we really talk, and I share funny crime-related memes and things that are like, make your serial killer name with this and this, and other things that really relate to me.
Or like games that
like
involve crimes.
What was the serial killers are born or what
signs?
And I was like, oops, me.
right.
Oh my god, the table. I'm losing it. But anyway, that's just Crime Crazy Podcast. You could definitely find our page or our group.
Right. And both of them, or one of them, the page, one of them or maybe both of them get the episodes, and then like the YouTube link to the episodes are posted there also. So they just automatically do that. You could, of course, email us, even though Jordan doesn't want you to, at crimecrazypodcast@gmail.com, which is also our website is crimecrazypodcast.com. Our podcast host is Podbean, and you can follow us there if you would like to.
Yeah.
Although we are also on iTunes and Google Play and every single thing in the whole world. And if you find one that we're not, let us know, because we want to be there too.
Yeah. And if that's like your preferred listening platform, like why not make it easier for you?
100%. And then our most favoritist way for you to reach out to us, of course, is on Patreon.
Oh, yeah.
So you can search for Crime Crazy Podcast on Patreon, and it'll pull up our Patreon page, and you can leave us a nice note or donate to us poor, starving artists. No, not really, but
all I can think of is Bridesmaids, help me, I'm poor.
Right.
That's me.
But you could support our podcasting habits.
Yeah.
And then we will send you all kinds of great goodies as well.
Yeah, there's a lot.
There is a lot.
We send a lot of stuff. Like looking at everyone else's, I'm like, we send a lot.
We do. And for like really low donation brackets.
All the more reason, guys.
Right. It's because we love you.
Yeah. Pretty much.
And with that, is there anything else that you want to tell people?
I have 2 things I want to tell people.
What?
I want to remind people that if they leave us a review, we give them a shout out.
Oh, this is so true.
Because we had our little review rover thing come back, and they said, no new reviews for you. And I was like, dang it.
Yeah, that's the first time that has happened. I mean, to be fair, we have been on a break since the last time we got that email.
But I'm just saying, I wanted a little refresher. And if you leave us a review and we don't give you a shout out, then send us a message somewhere, and then we'll be like, double shout outs.
Right? Be like, hey, you guys are kind of losers.
So here's my review.
Where is my shout out?
And here it is. And then we'll both give you shout outs separately.
That's right.
Yeah.
We might even shout it. Instead of shouting,
12! Guys, okay, last thing. Do not yell 12 for people.
No.
And don't ask people to yell 12 for you.
And if someone asks you, just say, I would love to, but I have ADHD and I might forget. So you want to choose someone else.
Just fall asleep like Mr. Bean.
That's right.
And then wake up.
Fake narcolepsy.
Yes. Then they'll be like, whoa, don't ever ask them again.
Right. Well, and when you wake up, just be like, stress nap, like Boss Baby, which is the only thing we're allowed to watch in my house anymore.
Sophia screamed, Boss Baby, Boss Baby. And Mike said, I don't know about all that, but you got to stop.
My favorite stories are the ones where Mike is involved.
Well, it's so funny because then as soon as he leaves the room, the kids are like, where did he go? I'm like, he's in here, and he tells you to just be quiet or like chill out or whatever, and he's like giving you guys such a hard time. And like, I know he's just doing that to be a shit and be funny. And
right.
You know. But then they're sad when he leaves, and I'm like, hello, what about me? I'm like cooking you pancakes for breakfast and making all these nice things.
Right.
But I just like to give them a hard time. But anywho, back to the point, guys. Please, because these stories, we had one that was kind of close to us. So that was like, what is it? How many degrees to Kevin Bacon? We're not trying to get there. Right. Like, no degrees to Crime Crazy,
we don't want to recognize any of the names.
No degrees unless it's like to Crime Crazy.
Oh my God, you hate rhyming. What are you doing?
It's your stupid kid shows. That's all it is. Oh, man.
So, yes, don't be on the next episode.
Please.
Is what Jordan is trying to say. But also don't cover for anybody who's going to end up on the next episode.
No 12s.
And also...
Oh, I was going to say no 12s, only 11s.
Oh, my God. We have got to stop this episode before I have to
Good night.
throw stuff.